Hi, and welcome to today's very special episode. I'm recording this episode a couple of days after landing back in the UK from my wedding slash honeymoon slash holiday. And I wanted to do something a little bit different this week on the podcast because I've had a couple of weeks off for this very big and special life event. And I wanted to share a bit about that with you and also to share it to help you to think about your own health and understand a bit more about why I do what I do and why I really, truly, and firmly know that taking control of your health is the answer to unlocking the great life that you want to live, the happiness, the fulfillment, the success, everything that you want for yourself in life. When you take control of your health, that becomes possible. So that's what this little short episode is about, as well as giving you a little bit of an update on some exciting changes that are coming very soon with the podcast and with Life Now Coaching, as well as bit of insight into the whole event, the Las Vegas wedding, and just how it felt, what I did, and bringing some of that to you on today's episode. So let's start quite a few years ago. If you are new to the podcast and haven't heard my story before, I'm going to share a little bit of it now, but I have shared a lot of this in other episodes and as a guest on other people's podcasts. If you're a regular listener, then thanks for returning and tuning in today to hear more about this. So I'm going to keep it really short and just kind of sum up my backstory in terms of the anxiety that I felt for so many years. From the age of 19, I really struggled with not just anxiety in terms of worrying about things, but generalized anxiety disorder, which was only diagnosed, probably 12 or so years after it started. So it took a long time to get a diagnosis. And during that time, I believed that there was something fundamentally flawed in my brain and just my makeup, who I was. I thought there was something really wrong. And so the anxiety I struggled with was much more than what can be quite normal anxiety, just having general worries and concerns about things. I struggled with panic attacks, and everything that I went through with my mental health meant my self-worth and confidence was very, very low. Now, those things were quite low and probably some of the reason why I developed generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. They were very interlinked, and I know that now, but couldn't see it back then. And so I spent almost all of my adult life believing that I wasn't good enough. And that led to me living, a life that really wasn't true to who I was because I was stuck in survival mode. And it affected all of the decisions I made, whether they were personal decisions, connected to relationships, both romantic, family and friends as well, financial, where I lived, the job that I did, so my career, the progression that I had in my career. So, professional as well as personally, I was affected because of how I felt about myself and those beliefs and stories that I developed about my own worth, who I was as a human and the value that I had. And I struggled for all of those years to just get by, to just keep breathing, basically, to wrap it up like that. That's what it was about. It was about just keeping the lights switched on, so to speak. And through some of that time, especially the kind of mid-20s onwards when I worked at Nike, health wasn't at the forefront of my priorities, but it was there because of the company that I worked for being a sports brand. And I thought that if I lost weight, I would be confident and happy and fix a lot of the problems that I had. And so what I did was try to lose weight. If I lost weight, I tried to keep the weight off. I did it through umpteen different types of diets and detoxes and the likes, and working out in the gym. But working out to basically try to be thin, because I thought thin equaled healthy and that equaled happiness and brought confidence with it. And I've shared this in lots of different ways through the podcast and the content that I put out on social media and the work that I do in my coaching and other media that I use to talk about my story and the work that I do. But things started to change when I shifted my understanding of health. And again, to kind of sum this up really quickly to bring me to what I want to talk to you about today, this started around 2017 when I first went on the Body Coach 90-day plan. And again, it was all about losing weight. But what I got from it was something very different that started to help me to understand more about the role of food and exercise in how I felt. And I started to have some improvement to my mental health as well as physical health. Now, it was quite a number of years after that that the real transformation kicked in, when I really started to take more notice of the changes that I was having because of being much stronger mentally and physically. And at that point, I wasn't suddenly fixed. I didn't suddenly have no more anxiety or struggle with any panic attacks. But I did improve massively in how I felt, both physically and mentally. And that has continued over the past three or so years since those big changes and transformation happened. And what I realized back in 2020 and 21 really was that when you take control of your health, health is everything. It affects every part of your life. And so it affects your relationships, your career, your finances, your friendships, or personal goals and thoughts and behaviors and actions. It affects everything. And I had some big changes happen in my life, which started with losing my mum quite suddenly in 2019, COVID, full-time working from home, then had a pretty bad accident when I fell and broke my wrist and had a metal plate put in, which was a very, very long recovery. I was then made redundant from my 20-year career at Nike. I decided to go self-employed and retrain as a coach, qualify as a personal trainer, set up the business, and then decided to end my marriage. Those changes became opportunities because of how strong I was, both mentally and physically. And that's the first kind of call out I want to make, is that when you are feeling so healthy and strong, you are so much more in control of what you want your life to be like. And I hadn't had that before. Like I said, I was existing. I was just trying to keep the lights on and not fall apart or worse. And so to be in control and realize that I was in control, because looking back, I was a lot more in control than what I knew up until that key point in 2021, for maybe a year or so just before that. But I hadn't really known it. But when I did realize, hang on, I'm stronger than I think. I can make this decision. I can be made redundant and not have this be the worst thing that has ever happened to me, which is what I used to think it would be if I ever thought about that situation arising with redundancy and losing my job as the main earner in my family at the time. You know, I'd think, oh, that would be an absolute catastrophe. It would be, you know, something that would make me fall apart because we wouldn't have the income, we wouldn't be able to pay the bills and keep the house and so on. But that shifted because of how in control I was with how I felt, because of the work that I'd done, which was no longer about losing weight by dieting all of the time and working out just to try to lose some weight and think I'd be fixed when I was a certain size, felt different because of how healthy I was through not just working out and eating better, but also shifting some of the thoughts that I had, some of those beliefs I'd been carrying around. I'd also started to think about stress a bit more, about how connected my mind and body were. And it was very new to me at this point, and I've come a long way since then. But even so, what I started to realise then meant that I did make some really difficult decisions because I felt in control and knew that I deserved a life different to the life that I had been living for so long. And so that's what led me to do what I do with Life Now coaching and what I share on the podcast with you about the value of your health and building habits that become a part of who you are to feel strong mentally and physically. Because first of all, I want you to know that health is not about what you eat and being fit. Health is about so much more. And so shifting your beliefs, first of all, about what health and healthy living means is key, and a key takeaway I want you to have from listening to this episode. And secondly, it's to know that when you are healthy, it just brings so much more opportunity to what your life can be like. And, you know, we all want that great life. We're all here once, one time only in this body, in this soul anyway, you know, depending what you believe. We get this one shot. And so we do want a good life. And that good life, you know, I can describe my good life and it's going to be different to what your good life is probably going to look like, but it's all going to contain the same kind of things about spending time with people we love, feeling love, experiencing love, having nice experiences with the people you love and lovely memories created, and maybe achieving certain things in your career or in your personal life, and, you know, learning new things perhaps, or experiences, and achieving things that matter to you, that are there because they're at the core of your soul and who you are. And so when you are in control of your health, that all becomes really possible because you feel great and you get much clearer about not only what you want, but that you are capable of making those things happen. And so that's where it's led in my life to where I am now. So if you are new or if you're out of touch off social media, I got married in Las Vegas on the 14th of May to my partner Kev, who I've been with for almost 2.5 years. And it was incredible. And it's a huge life moment for us both and for our wider family. You know, we're blended family with my daughter and Kev's 2 adult children as well. And I wanted to share this because when you take control of your health, it means anything is possible. It stops being about that number on the scales or just having to be fit because you think, well, yeah, if I feel fitter, then that's going to just help in the longer run with feeling better. It brings so much more, like it has done in my story, because it's not just about the fact that I've, you know, ended a marriage that I was unhappy in and that wasn't working for any of us, myself, my ex-husband, our daughter, but also I've taken the big step to enter into a new relationship and marriage that the old me, the old Nicola, would have been probably too scared to have done. So it's not just about saying, yeah, I've took control of my life and now I'm married again and it's great. It's that doing that thing in itself is huge for me because I didn't feel I was worthy of love like I have now. I didn't feel I was confident enough to elope to another country, just the two of us, to get married, to enjoy it in every way that we possibly could, to do that alone, you know, without family there, to also travel that far, because the anxiety that I felt and the way I felt, I would have been worrying about it constantly in the past. But this time, because of how I am now, it wasn't completely anxiety free, because I do get slightly anxious flying as a passenger, even though I used to be cabin crew on long haul flights many moons ago. There's something that I'm still, I wouldn't say nervous, but just get uncomfortable about when I'm in the air. It's not the fact I'm in the air, it's more that I'm stuck on this tube and I get almost a claustrophobia type of feeling. So it's not that it wasn't there, but it was that I was able to manage it because of where I am, because of how in control I am about, who I am, how things work in my mind and body, how connected they are, what I need to do to support myself, because I understand why I have some of these anxious and panicky reactions and so on. So taking control of my health has meant not only that I've made those big changes in my life, but it means I can navigate day to day so much more resilient and with more calmness and awareness than what I've ever been able to do before. And so just by the very fact that I know that, and I'm proud of myself for being able to, organize this holiday and wedding and everything that went with it, and be there on the day and not be as nervous as what I thought I would be, to really be ready to be present and excited and enjoy every moment of the wedding day from start to finish, was just like massive. It was mega in itself, because that wasn't how I used to be. And I can't describe how severe my anxiety and beliefs, how negative my belief system was in the past. As I say, I've shared this in episodes and in other ways previously. So without going into it all here, it was bad. My anxiety was so bad. So to know that I was there in that situation in Las Vegas, waking up next to my husband to be, us together, planning everything, feeling excited, wanting to, do it and have the best day possible, was in itself huge and such an achievement for me that I'm really recognizing and wanting to share with you, because this is what I want you to take away, is what health really is, why it's so important, and how the ripple effects of being healthy play out into every aspect of your life. As I said, personally and professionally, it can be anything you want it to be, but taking control of your health opens the door to so many possibilities. It is, everything. I believe it's true wealth. Health is wealth. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got a lot. And I kind of wanted to bring this next bit in, because not everything in my life is perfect. I'm not standing here saying, oh, I've just got married and my life's great and I've fixed everything and that's it, now it's hunky-dory. I've had some back problems for 8 or 9 months. I've just had an MRI scan. I'm waiting for the results now that I'm back from the holiday. I've had some problems with my right hip and my right knee and right foot. So, there's other little things that have been going on, quite a lot of little things, all linked to perimenopause. I'm not perfect, but this is the next takeaway I want you to have, is that we will all have challenges with our health. But when you are healthier and aware of the value of your health, and you have healthy habits embedded into your life, when things do happen, which is life, it's bound to happen to all of us at some point in, different degrees of how those problems might affect you, and what you might feel and what those problems themselves are, you're able to manage it much better, and with more awareness and understanding and self-compassion as well. That's a key thing, because you're in control. You have that power within you to manage your health and to protect your health. And so even though I've had those struggles, especially with my back in the run up to the wedding, which was actually quite stressful and frustrating and upsetting, the day we travelled, I was in quite a lot of back pain. But it was the fact I was able to work through that, and mentally, from a mindset point of view, help myself to stay positive as much as I could by, being compassionate and knowing what was going on, and that I was taking steps to manage it, and that I could get over this, and being really positive, looking forward to knowing that my back will be strong again, and that I will be able to get back to moving my body and working out in the way that I enjoy and like to do, that has now just become a part of who I am. So, it's not necessarily that everything is perfect here for me. I've got a few health struggles going on right now, but it's very different how they impact me to how things like that impacted me over the past 25 plus years, because I do have that different understanding and created what I think is some of the most important healthy habits around your own mindset, how you think, how you talk to yourself, how you support yourself. So, I've been able to work through some of those challenges that I've had. And all of this is a part of the framework that I use in my coaching, whether it's with individual clients in my Mind Body Collective program, or my From Pause to Play menopause program, or teams that I work with in corporate environments, talks that I give. This is a framework that I use and run through everything I do, helping you to understand the power of taking control of your health and how to do that, and how through the habits that you build when you're in control of your health, how they can ripple out and positively impact every part of your life, so that your life becomes exactly that, your life. You get to choose how to live it. You get to choose how you feel, and you get to choose the actions you take to make your life feel the way you want it to feel. And that's what's happened to me over the last 3 or so years. Taking control of my health, because I started to understand what health really meant, has literally transformed my life, so that I'm now here. I've got a new name, so watch out for the updates. Nicola Fondell. I will be changing that on the podcast next week, along with some other very exciting changes that are coming to the podcast and to Life Now Coaching. So keep your eyes open for a few changes that you will start to see over the next couple of weeks, early in June. And I'm really excited for this next phase. I feel as though having this break, I knew I needed it, but it's been even more important than what I had realised in lots of ways. I haven't really taken a long break like this since starting the business and finishing at Nike, just over 3 years ago. It's been all go with retraining, learning, courses, setting the business up, working, the changes I've had personally. It's been very full on. And in our holiday, I really wanted to switch off and be present as much as I could. So I've shared the personal stuff on social media, giving you a bit of insight into the wedding and the honeymoon, and try to just not think about work much. It's popped in the odd time, I won't lie, but really taken a good couple of weeks off, which I've needed. And the timing was perfect, because I knew I wanted to bring some changes to the business, and they're now coming in June. And so I feel ready, refreshed, excited to bring those changes to you and to grow even more than what I have done so far in the business and personally as well. There's so much more that I want to achieve. And the fantastic thing is, I know that I can do it because I've achieved so much. And I do acknowledge that. I tell myself how proud I am of myself. I would never have done anything like that before. Everything I would say to myself in the past was negative, and that's no exaggeration when I say everything. That has been a monumental shift in how I now live. Hopefully, hearing my story helps you to know that if you're struggling with your health and it's impacting how you live your life and your overall happiness, that you can change as well. Any one of us can. It starts with small steps, and that first small step is what gets you off the starting line. It moves you forward and starts to help you to see that you can make the changes that you want. No matter how hard you might think they are, we can all change and take control of our lives. So a little quick rundown of the wedding. We had a little white wedding at the little white wedding chapel in Las Vegas on the Strip, just down from the Stratosphere. If any of you have been to Vegas and you know the Strip, as you head downtown, you've got the very tall Stratosphere building. It's just a bit further north of that, and it was amazing. We started the day really early because we were still jet lagged. I made my own bouquet. There wasn't very much choice of flowers at the supermarket when we went the day before, but I got some lovely yellow roses, sunflowers, and I'm not sure what the other ones were. I think 3 different types of flowers. I made my own bouquet. We went to try and go to Egg Slut, which is very famous egg takeaway joint in the US. They're in a few different places. The queue was huge, so we didn't end up getting one. Headed back to the pool. We were staying at the Bellagio Hotel, which was incredible. We had the most fantastic room. We were lucky to get an upgrade, so we could see the fountain view. The pools there were just divine. The setting in the gardens around the pools was just so beautiful. So we had a little bit of time at the pool. I had something to eat. I had a cheer bowl with the blended bananas and fruit and granola and coconut and nut butter. It was very nice, very expensive because Vegas is extremely expensive. And then I went to the room, left Kev at the pool. We had a whole plan for the day, what we were going to do leading up to the wedding. I had my hair and makeup done. 2 lovely girls came along and brought everything, just took over. And I sat there on this high chair, like what you see celebrities having their makeup done for films and so on, looking out onto the Bellagio fountains, and it was just surreal. It was really magical. They did my hair and makeup and went off, and then I was kind of left on my own. It was a bit strange, I must admit. I was thinking, this is very weird because I'm a very late person. Even though I'm always very organised, I always end up late. So I was kind of ready early, got my dress on and thought, how am I going to fasten it? Because it had these 3 little buttons at the back of the neck. I'm going to have to just literally go in the corridor and wait for someone to come. Anyway, I managed to get them fastened. I just kept taking some breaths, waiting for a little bit, and then managed to get them fastened. We had quite a big room, so Kev had arranged to come back to the room at 2:15. I hid around the corner. He went straight into the bathroom, and I'd hung up these clothes, and then I left the room. And this is the bit that really kind of got me as well when I was thinking about this episode. So I headed down to the elevators, the lifts, and we'd arranged to meet near this little fountain in the Bellagio reception area. And I thought, right, well, I'm quite early. I know he's just in the shower. And so I hung around for 5 minutes or so. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to go because I don't want him to be ready early. And come out of the room. We were at the end of a long corridor, and I don't want to see me here and spoil that first look. So I went down in the lift down to the casino floor, and had to walk right the way through the casino to get to the reception area where we were going to meet. And as I came out the lift, I mean, if anyone's been to Vegas, you know what the hotels are like. They are busy day and night. The casinos are so busy. Doesn't matter what time of the morning, afternoon, night it is, there are always so many people there. And I had my head down, and I did have a feeling of, look, everyone's going to be looking at me and thinking, look at her in her wedding dress and she's on her own. And I walked probably about 10 meters at the most, and then I thought, no, put your head up high, walk through, let everyone look at you. And do you know what? Not many people actually looked, because in Vegas, it's crazy, not just with people getting married, but there are so many strange things. So nobody really gave a hoot, what I was doing walking through with my wedding dress on and a bunch of flowers. And some people did look and smiled, and some people said, you look beautiful, I love your dress, congratulations. And I was like, this is so surreal. Old Nicola would not have dared do that. I would have been shaken like a leaf. I honestly am not exaggerating to say I would not have walked through that casino like that. But I did it. I walked through, I waited near the fountain area and then he was late. So I had to wait quite a long time. And he came along, and I had some girl that I just, went up to randomly and said, please, my soon-to-be husband is on his way down. We're about to go and get married, and I would love to video him as he walks along and gets his first look of me in my dress. Will you video? And I don't think she had a clue what was going on. She was American. She was quite young. She was like, yeah, okay. And then it was only after she'd videoed when he arrived, she said, my God, are you a bride? Are you literally getting married? And I said, yeah. And I had explained that, but I think she was so taken aback she didn't understand, and maybe didn't understand with my accent. So we got that. And then we got an Uber. So nothing flash, but we picked a nice one. We got a nice white Tesla down to the chapel, met some of the people who were about to get married. We took photos of each other. Our photographer, so we had a lovely photographer, Chelsea, for 3 hours. She was amazing. I cannot wait to see her photos. She took thousands of photos, and she was with us in the chapel. We did some photographs before in the pink Cadillac. Elvis came along. We were photobombed by him, and then we went into the chapel, and it was magical. The ceremony was so much better than what we imagined. It wasn't rushed. It was personal. Mel, who married us, played some music. We said our own vows. Neither of us cried. We almost cried, but I think we'd cried quite a bit on the morning. We were very emotional. We did get very choked at our vows. I'm actually tearing up here just thinking about it. And it was just everything that we wanted. It was so amazing. And then Chelsea took so many photos afterwards in the chapel, out on the street. And then we went to a few different locations with her. We popped some champagne in the middle of the road next to the Stratosphere, like shook it up. Oh, it was just, honestly, it was everything you can imagine a Vegas wedding to be. And then we went to the Bellagio fountains, and she got us to dance in front of the fountains. And it was just, the most special moment. I haven't ever done anything like this. And again, this was the biggest teary moment of the day for me, or from the wedding onwards, because I'd had a few tears on the morning. But we danced in front of the fountains on the main road of the Strip. And again, if you've been to Vegas, you know how busy and crazy it is. You know, there's like, I don't know, 8 lanes of traffic on the Strip, people everywhere, the Bellagio fountains, you know, people are standing there waiting for them to come on. And it was Lionel Richie who came on all night long. And we just danced and danced. There was a moment while we were dancing that I just thought, this is incredible. I can't believe that I'm here dancing like we are with anybody and everybody watching us in the middle of Las Vegas, and I don't care, and I'm so happy. And I wouldn't have ever done anything like that before, but I really embraced it. I wish we'd videoed it. I wish we'd taken more photos ourselves or videos on my iPhone, but I just wanted to be so present in the day. So we got Chelsea to take a few on my phone, but I'm so excited to see these photos from what she took outside of the fountains, because it was just one of the most amazing moments I've ever experienced in my life. And it just felt very special to know that I was able to do something like that I wasn't, you know, full of negative thoughts about, what's someone going to think? This is so cringy. Like, they're going to think she looks really fat, or what are they dancing like that for? And everybody's watching them. Old me would have had all of those thoughts and so many more worse ones, but I didn't care, because I'm me and this is my life and I get to choose how I live it. So that was one of the standout moments from the day. And then we went to the Venetian Hotel and we had a gondola ride outside, which was amazing because Kev proposed on the gondola in Venice last year. So we wanted to do that. And then we went to the Paris Hotel, had our special meal in the Eiffel Tower restaurant. And then we went back to the Bellagio and sat in one of the lounge bars with the pianist, who then offered to play us our wedding song, which he didn't know. So we ended up playing one of our other special songs. And the whole day was just amazing, apart from the fact that I should definitely have changed into trainers after the photographs. My feet were crippled, and I mean it, and I'm still struggling today. So that was a big lesson learned. So anyone who might ever get married in Vegas that you either know, or if you're going to do it yourself, put trainers on. That's my advice, even for the wedding itself, because it's amazing how much you walk with your photographer, even though you don't think you're going to. So it was incredible. And then we had the most amazing honeymoon after that. We went to the Grand Canyon for the day. We did a light aircraft to the canyon, then a helicopter down to the riverbed, the pontoon boat, helicopter again, an even smaller aircraft back with only 10 seats, including the pilot, which was amazing. And again, I would have been so nervous. And even when we were waiting for the helicopter, I said, Kev, I can't believe I'm actually not that nervous. I said, I am like a bit apprehensive, but I'm not as nervous as what I thought I was going to be. I thought I would really feel panicky. And all of these things that I did on holiday, including a roller coaster ride at the New York Hotel, which went upside down twice, which I will say I was terrified when I was on it, but I did it and I knew that I could do it. And I knew that I would be proud of myself afterwards. And so it was just amazing to be able to fully experience what I wanted without all of that anxiety, panic, worry, self-doubt, criticism that would have prevailed in the past. So I think that's enough chat. I thought this episode was going to be about 15, 20 minutes long, and I've just realised I'm well over 37 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up. If you want to see photos of the wedding, if you haven't seen any, there are some on my Instagram and Facebook pages. I'm going to pop something onto LinkedIn once I'm back at work next week, just to announce my name change. And thank you to everyone who did share congratulations and such lovely comments when I did post about the wedding while we were away. It blew both of us away. We had so many kind and supportive words and messages. It was really appreciated, and I just felt really humbled by it all. I didn't realise that many people cared, and I didn't realise, to be honest, that I knew that many amazing people either. And so it just brought home how much my life's changed doing what I'm doing, because so many of the comments I had were from fellow entrepreneurs, people I've worked with in different capacities as clients or out at workshops or talks that I've given, that I've met in all kinds of circumstances through doing this work now. And that in itself is just so fantastic, and something that helps me to grow and be stronger even more, than what I have grown and strengthened myself already. So thank you to everyone for your support and encouragement, and keep your eyes open and ears ready for next week's podcast episode, and an exciting new change, as well as some new things happening in the business. And if you want to find out more about any of it, just pop me a message on any of the social media platforms or email me at nicola@lifenow.uk. So I hope you've enjoyed this bit of an insight into my Las Vegas elopement wedding, and why taking control of your health is so much more powerful than what you probably realise it is, and how much it can transform your life into that fantastic, happy, fulfilled, successful, amazing life that you want it to be. So thank you so much for listening and being here with me on the podcast today. Take care, and I look forward to welcoming you back next week.